would argue Dr. Stone just dropped one of, if not the most important episodes that we've seen over now 4 seasons. Because this episode was a complete backstory, and seeing the events building up to the mass global petrification from a completely different perspective, while also getting more of Senku, of course, and learning a bit more about what he was up to and everything about his life and the cute, the funny. I mean, man literally traveled across the world to see his dad, but only for his credit card. I mean, that's funny no matter how you spin it. But Zeno and his relationship, after it was confirmed that they were exchanging emails, and the emails were directed directly to him, so they were actually working together in a little mentorship. A question I had was that with how smart Zeno was at face value, I mean, look at what he's built. It was interesting that despite sitting on a quite literal cornfield, he has everything he needs to develop the revival fluid to bring back as many people as he wants. And we know that he's under the assumption that this team, this group of kids, has the ability to do so. And we learn exactly that America was actually very close to a breakthrough prior to the mass petrification, which actually makes it seem like that White Man probably sped up whatever he was doing because the Americans were so close to figuring it out. Because it started with just some birds, right? But then as they're getting closer to figuring out what to do, global petrification. We know that in the world of Dr. Stone, that if your mind is active, just a little bit of this acid is enough to wake you up, like a singular drop. That's why Senku and Taiju were able to wake up. But you can't just put that acid on people who have been dormant and weren't keeping their minds active. And that's where the concoction that Senku developed comes from. And it's very interesting because clearly Zeno is a very talented individual, but where Senku surpassed him was able to make that fluid. And I think it's so interesting that we learned that everyone that we've been fighting on this other side, they kept their minds active. I mean, it's funny, the girl literally kept her mind active for how many thousands of years because she was having an emotional breakdown about staying single forever. And then everyone else had orders like, they wanted to protect her or their military orders. And it answers so much, it clarifies so much. But I think most importantly, it actually explores further than I thought. I thought they never even met face to face. But both Senku and Zeno knew it was the other, even without saying as such, right? And I think it's going to be so interesting because in this flashback, we learn that what does he think he would do if he had to start over from scratch? He'd become a dictator. I mean, he's honest. You can't say he's not honest. But I think this is what I love about Dr. Stone, is the formula never goes the way you would expect a shonen to go. And because of that, you end up with this modern masterpiece that just hits different like really nothing else. Of course, before we jump any further, we gotta mention, we got those full live reactions. If you want to see my full thoughts and support my work, we got them over there on Patreon exclusively. Oh my goodness. This is at least a top 10 episode, but maybe even a top 5 episode of Dr. Stone. That good. It's really interesting though. And I think, I definitely had some questions because with how smart at face value Zeno was, I was so interested because, I guess I was under the assumption, even though we know that because of how Dr. Stone works, you only get revived with basic acid if your mind's been active. But I was under the assumption, there's no way he got lucky enough that all these people did it. Oh, but they were all, okay. Now it's making sense. Because they were so close to a breakthrough and they were already exploring how it would work, ultimately that's how they had such an idea. And as the petrification's coming in, they're literally saying, get behind cover, put yourself in the best position you have. We know what's going to happen here. Keep your mind active. And I'm like, I never thought there was any point in the world, because I just assumed when it happened, people were caught off guard. Yeah, maybe, they had a little bit of hey, what's going on before it? But there's no way but the fact that they were that close, the fact that Senku was, cutting to the very first scene in Dr. Stone season 1, episode 1, where Taiju bursts in, I'm gonna confess my love, and he's making gasoline, so much deeper than I ever thought possible. And I think what I love too is that despite Senku and his father, not really having a loving relationship at face value, they did at the same time. There was respect there. It's just funny how you can simultaneously make Senku look like a leech who comes only for his credit card, but at the same time, they're both proud of the other sort of a deal. And the fact that you have this moment where, NASA has oh, here's a bunch of emails from these kids. NASA, why the sky blue if dark in space? Oh, how adorable. Cut to Senku's email. did this like 10-year-old just commit to crimes? Zeno, I would like to talk to said child. I'm like, okay, let's see where we go from here. And I thought they just did a great job because there's a lot of uncertainty. Because I was under the assumption, they never, because there was no email, like faces exchanged in the emails, right? So that was going to be a big thing. No, like if there's at any point Senku's name comes up, if this girl goes back, he hears Senku's name, of course. They see each other face to face. At the very least, he'll know what Senku looks like. It's interesting because I don't think Zeno is the type of person who would stop attacking them. Like, at the end of the day, Zeno is the type of person who would want to see which scientist reigns supreme. And whoever is, that's the order you're going to follow. And I'm not sure if I'd say he would still be committed to killing Senku. It's kind of 50-50, but I won't be shocked if he is. But at the same time, I think he also can realize that Senku would be valuable. The real sick thing will be that if he keeps Senku alive only to learn of the secrets of the revival fluid and then pops a cap in his ass. At the end of the day, though, we know Senku really wants to go to space, so they both have something the other wants. He clearly has more, I think, intelligence when it comes to that side of it. Senku has more so on that. So there is a way for them to work together. It's just, I feel like what we're going to need is like something to happen that they have to work together. Whether or not that's another attack from Y-Man, whether that's a threat, who knows, right? But at the end of the day, just because of this backstory, it's not going to stop the conflict. If anything, I think it's going to fuel both of them into trying to surpass the other. And while everyone's going to be scared shitless and fighting for their life, I think both of our characters here are going to have a giant ass grin on their face because they're having that much fun. It's a little frightening, but that is Senku for you. Just a brilliant episode. I thought maybe half the episode max would have been backstory. I really wish we would have got just like even a sentence in present day with Senku saying something about Zeno, but either way, I think this is arguably one of, if not the most important episodes, because not only does it clarify that the world was a lot closer to stopping petrification before it happened, I think that realization, and with how close we're getting to a more modern-looking society, gives more reassurance that we can indeed stop Y-Man this time around. But no matter how many times humanity fails, it's going to pick itself back up one way or another, and I think that's a brilliant message that Dr. Stone's always really got across. I think this episode also covers up anything that might have been seen as plot holes before, and really just makes it feel, elegantly written as maybe certain scientists in the show might want to present it as. You let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, whether if you're a manga reader anticipating this episode, or if you're anime original like me, just blown away. Let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Justin Hayes, Amy, Alceum, JC Bat 21, Lunchbox Slayer, Joseph, Blue Wizard, Nadia Colon, and we also have Annoying Waffles. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.